Thank you, Excellency, for your thoughts and sharing some of your insights. I'd like us to now start our first panel, Opportunity and Abundance. Youth helps make it happen.
His Excellency Abdullah Al-Swaha is the current Minister of Communication and Information Technology for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He has more than 15 years of experience in IT, entrepreneurship, executive, and digital consulting across both the public and private sectors. Diane Green is an American investor and a member of the Google Board of Directors. Since Google acquired VMware, a startup she developed with her husband, she has led the cloud division at Google, turning it into a market leader.
Thank you. Thank you. صباح الخير جميعا. هذه الجلسة مجدولة أن تكون باللغة الإنجليزية، لذلك استأذنكم بالتحول للتحدث بالإنجليزي. للراغبين هناك أجهزة الترجمة موجودة على الكراسي. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Faisal J. Abbas. I'm the editor-in-chief of Arab News, the region's leading English language daily newspaper based here in Saudi Arabia, where we are going through our own digital transformation, which is why I'm truly honored and excited to be with my two fellow panelists. Ladies first, Diane Green, Vice President of Google Cloud, and also a board member on Alphabet, which, as we know, the mother company of Google, and of course His Excellency Engineer Abdullah Swaha. We've just heard your speech, who is doing truly fascinating work in the digitization of the whole country here in Saudi Arabia, and we'll be dwelling into that, as well as the exciting announcement that he's just made. Diane, starting with you. First of all, I have to say, welcome to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
I'm very curious to know what your impressions are of the country, and I know you've had also some meetings with some of our officials here. So if you can just kindly, to start off this conversation, tell us what is your first impression, and do you think we have what it takes to tackle on the digital challenges of the future?
Thank you very much. Yes, this is my first trip, and there's nothing like being somewhere in person, as digital as we all are, and because the excitement and embracing of change is so palatable here. And everybody I've spoken with is so forward-thinking, so aware of what's possible, and it excites me, because when you open things up for the young people, they get very creative and start to dream, and I'm very optimistic about what's possible here.
Well, it's great. We're certainly coming in an exciting time, Diane. I think we've seen more changes, more transformation in the past 2 years in this country than over the past 20. And a lot of it also has to do with the youth and the digital transformation, which is why I would like to take the next question to His Excellency. You just announced an interesting initiative, and if I were to analyze, what you're kind of saying is, yes, we are going through digital transformation. Yes, we're going to digitize the economy, which is this country. But what we want is local talent to be able to lead it. Is that kind of the direction we're heading in?
This couldn't be a much better time, in a time of unprecedented change. I mean, the rate of change right now is giving us a unique and a big window to leapfrog into the future. And it's going to be powered by youth. 70% of the nation is under the age of 30. 50% of the population in the world is under the age of 50 as well. And I think this gives the kingdom a unique and competitive advantage, powered by knowledge, entrepreneurship, and innovation. We're coming together with MiSK And this couldn't be a better marriage in heaven than to present a 1 + 1 = 3, because there's a multiplier effect. And that multiplier effect is going to come from the ecosystem that the digitization committee can bring on with partners like Google, helping us to deliver time to value, helping us to deliver an ecosystem and have access to capacity and capability in no time with the digital world. Joining hands with MiSK, one of the thought leaders in how NGOs could incubate and accelerate new thinking, new challenges that are going to solve problems for today and tomorrow with their world-class partnerships. So we're very proud and we're very excited about this partnership with MiSK. This is going to be indeed an opportunity to join hands to take 30 young, energetic, bright entrepreneurs from the kingdom, make sure that we put them through a rigorous 1-year program, get them exposure to the valleys of the world, to the European successes in the world, introduce them to some VCs, accelerators, and join hands with some big, both tech and knowledge powerhouses to make sure that we set them up for success.
This is the first panel of the day, and I've been given the challenge of doing the first one and waking everybody up, so I'm supposed to be challenging you. And I wanted to, except when I did my research, I found that you are incredibly popular, Your Excellency, especially among the youth, particularly because one of your first decisions, or landmark decision, was to lift the ban on voice over IP. So people now can use WhatsApp to video call after we've been kind of infamous for that ban. Could you kindly let us know what kind of led to that decision, which also happened overnight?
Indeed, and I'm very humbled and overwhelmed by the kindness of people. It's still the beginning of the journey for me, and there's so much that we could give to this lovely nation. We're in the two trajectories. We're in the build and the transform stage, and I'm trying to keep focus that everybody want me to go and build the infrastructure, but at the same time transform and deliver for us a vibrant society, a thriving economy, and an ambitious nation. So when we first introduced our strategy and our story to His Royal Highness, I remember that we talked about, if you want to deliver a vibrant society, it's all about a digital society, a society based on engagement, how we could engage better in healthcare, education, and in smart cities. How we could deliver a thriving economy in which the digital economy is the new norm, with freelancing, with entrepreneurship, and an ambitious nation with a digital nation. But he reminded me not to forget that we had to underpin it always with a very solid foundation, making sure that homes are connected by fiber, making sure that we improve broadband speed, making sure that data is available. And one of the successes, with the blessings of Allah and with the support of His Royal Highness, that we announced, people felt it was a small thing, but this is the multiplier effect of what technology could bring to you. You will be very amazed in partnership with our digital partners and the operators when we collectively decided to lift the ban on voice over IP and video conferencing. You'll be amazed of how many people actually phone me up or send me messages thanking me, where our soldiers in the southern border, for the first time, they were able to talk to their parents. Folks who are in scholarships, I remember I was in the Bloomberg Business Forum in New York, and in New York Airport, I have students stop me over to just thank me, to have the opportunity in a very long time to talk to their families back home. And that's on the digital society piece. So that's the connectedness that technology could bring and the engagement. Think about the applications in education, in healthcare, how we could minimize human error in medical care with providing second opinion services. Every doctor from their smartphone, they have the opportunity to simply leveraging this supercomputer to talk to another doctor. Think about minimizing the doctor visits. 50% of the doctor visits today do not require for you to be in the same clinic. Think about the other opportunities when it comes to the digital front in the economy space. And Diane, we were chatting early on this morning about what can this bring for businesses in terms of collaboration, in terms of opportunities to bring the power of communities of interest and communities to make decisive decisions to make a better outcome for their companies and for the world.
Right. So I'm done being nice for this morning. So Diane, let me ask you, technology companies in general, Google, Facebook, Twitter, in this region, they seem to have a reputation that all they care about are sales. So basically the offices here are sales offices. There's no real technology, there's no real research, etc. Is this true? Maybe you have some initiatives or you're working on things that we don't know about, but this is a question, what I was doing the research, this is something that a lot of people's mind that, you know, big companies don't really care about this region.
I'm so glad that this time I am on this chair and not on the receiving end.
I'm coming to
For
you.
almost 17 years, I had to answer that question. So go ahead, Diane.
Well, so we very much would love to have large research groups here. And the first step is training. And we've nearby got some engineers, and we want to increase it. You know, as we bring in these digital tools and people start to use them and people start to collaborate and get connected together, you know, what's happening is it's going to really accelerate people's understanding of what's possible. And already we've been doing some training in here around digital literacy and being safe, or about content, creating better content, higher quality content for YouTube. But now we would like to have people here, engineers, to take the data, to share data, and take the data and be able to start getting real insights about how to improve the enterprises, how to improve people's lives in health and all these other areas, we can bring these courses through online training and also through programs, and we're working actively to do that. And as more people can do the data analytics, can do the machine learning, we'll put more and more engineers here and initially they'll be here to work and train people. And we'd like to really accelerate that.
Well, that's excellent.
And I have to say, I had a lunch yesterday with a number of local women leaders, and many of them IT experts. So I'm pretty optimistic we're going to be able to find people pretty quickly.
I'm sure, and you'll be reading about it in Arab News, I'm sure, when you make those announcements. But let me give you a follow-up question on that. You're VP of Google Cloud in particular, as well as being a board member. A lot of the audience members here are entrepreneurs or people who have ambitions to kind of venture into their own businesses. What can the kind of cloud technology offer them? I know you have kind of extensive experience on that front, but if you were kind of to summarize the kind of advantages of the cloud.
Yeah, well, what the cloud is nothing more than sort of a utility like your electricity, where everybody can share it and someone supplies it for you so that you don't have to understand about machines and storage and networking, and you can just use this technology to do things like work together with someone on the other side of the country on a file, or to do a video conference, or to do machine translation. In fact, you heavily use Google's translation, which is all done in the cloud, where we've recently improved it through neural networks, where you can really do pretty much real-time. Google can translate into 103 languages. So the cloud is a place where you can bring data together. The more data you have, the smarter you can be. So for instance, for translation, the more data we have about the languages, the more accurate we can make translation. And you do that in the cloud. It's where you share, it's where you do the compute, it's where you do the storage. And I'll just add, it's also an incredible accelerator for building new technologies for startups. So I've built several startups, and Google Cloud has facilitated. One example would be, say, Snapchat started with 2 people and now is a large company, public company, all never having to buy a single machine, a single disk drive, and never having to worry about how to grow their support of the millions and millions of people they support, because it happened magically through the cloud. So that any entrepreneur with a good idea can be in the cloud for very little money. And then if they have a great idea and it takes off, like some of your startups here, Sahara, and they don't have to worry about that side of it. They can focus on what they're doing for the user.
Right. We do have an exciting day ahead, so I do have to wrap up. Let me ask you 2 quick questions about how the future, how the digital future in this country looks like, Your Excellency. And Diane, we hope to see you again in Saudi Arabia.
I hope so too.
Thank you so
really
much for
wonderful
coming.
to be here.
Your Excellency, final word about how does the digital future look like in Saudi Arabia?
إذا سمحت لي حجاوب بالعربي. اليوم عندنا فرصة ذهبية. في عصر التحول الرقمي التنافسية لا تعتمد على حجم الأصول والخبرات. هي تعتمد عليكم أنتم الشباب، الريادة، المعرفة، الابتكار. عندنا فرصة، وأنا أدعي أن الأجيال الحالية والأجيال القادمة لن تغفر لنا إن لم نستغلها بإذن الله ونخدم هذا البلد المعطاء. وشكرا جزيلا.
Thank you. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being a fantastic audience. Thank you to our speakers. Diane, welcome again to Saudi Arabia. We are very excited that we are working with the likes of Google. We have people who, with your experience, coming and trying to help us win our own transformation. Your Excellency, everything you've said has been incredibly insightful, exciting. I, for one, I'm very optimistic about the transformation we are going through. And on that note, I will leave you with our moderator, MC for this morning, Zain, for our next exceptionally interesting program. Thank you.